These two lenses are about $300 US a piece and complete a 5-lens set from Surui that feature autofocus, great image quality, and an APS-C f1.2. But are they worth using on your next project? Let me explain. What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. If you've been following along, then you already know that I've reviewed the first 3 lenses from Sirui Sniper series. And while they just completed the set with 2 new additions to that set, a 16mm f1.2 and a 75mm f1.2. And I've had a chance to put these lenses through their paces over the last few months, testing them in various different scenarios, including a little running short film sequence that I shot using my Sony FX30 and these 2 lenses. Which, if you haven't seen that video yet, it is on my channel, so you may want to watch that before you watch this video, but I will be showing some behind the scenes of how I shot that video, and of course, I'll be showing tons of B-roll of these lenses and different kinds of footage so you can see what these lenses are really capable of doing. Real quick, Surui did send me these lenses to check out, but this video is not sponsored by them. No money changed hands, and they don't get to review this video before it goes out. So rest assured, my words are my own, and you can take them with a grain of salt. So to get started, let's talk about the overall build quality of these lenses. First of all, the lenses are housed in a really nice metal. They come in different colors, so they got a white, carbon fiber black, and a silver. I've got the white model here, which I mentioned in my previous review. The paint of the white model isn't super durable, but with these models, I haven't noticed as much chipping as I did with the previous 3 lenses. So I don't know if Surui was doing something different there, but these did tend to hold up just a little bit better than the others did. Now, the 16mm does maintain the same filter thread size as the previous 3 lenses, and it maintains the same size and weight, which is really nice, keeps that consistency. But with the 75mm, Surui did kind of go off the rails a little bit. The lens is a little bit larger, a little bit heavier, and the filter thread went up to a 67mm filter thread. Now, I can understand that in order to maintain that f1.2 aperture, but it would have been really nice to have all 5 lenses in the set be the exact same size, exact same filter thread. Now, these are APS-C compatible lenses, meaning that the 16mm, the full frame equivalent of it, is a 24mm field of view, and the full frame equivalent of the 75 is a 105mm field of view. All right, to quickly address the elephant in the room, the main feature of these lenses is that they do feature autofocus. But just like I mentioned with the other 3 lenses, the autofocus performance is okay. It's not bad, but it's not amazing either. It's just somewhere in the middle. I noticed that as long as you have a face in the scene, the autofocus is about 95% of the time on. In short, it's exactly the type of autofocus performance I would expect from a $300 lens. But like I stated in my previous review, if autofocus is your #1 priority, then I would save up your bucks and get a lens that knows autofocus like the back of its hand. Now, manual focus is always an option with these lenses, but they don't have an AF/MF switch, so you're gonna have to switch to manual focus within the camera, which isn't that big of a deal. But one thing to keep in mind is that these lenses are a focus-by-wire autofocus system, meaning that your focus points will vary depending on the speed at which you turn the focus ring. This does make it a little difficult to pull off cinema-like manual focus. It's not a great experience in my opinion. I think you'd be better off just using the autofocus and then tap tracking on your camera if your camera has that feature, which if you're using the Sony FX30, it does have that feature. Unless you're shooting a still subject like a landscape shot, in that case, the manual focus will be just fine. But speaking of manual focus, if you're familiar with Surui's Nightwalker series of lenses, here's where things can get a little interesting. The Sniper series lenses, including these 2 new additions, are the exact same image quality and glass as the Nightwalker series of lenses. The only difference is these feature autofocus. So if you love the Nightwalker series but craved autofocus, then this set would be the way to go. But if you're trying to decide between the 2 different sets, I would seriously consider whether or not you're planning to pull focus like on a feature film set. Because if you are, then I would choose the Nightwalker set and not these. The cine-like housing of those lenses will cater much more to the cinema-like tactics than these will. Now, before I go over the overall image quality of these lenses, I do want to show you some behind the scenes of how I shot that running short film sequence. I still haven't finished my shot list, but I wanted to come out and shoot a little sequence at this running trail that's close to my house because there's a really pretty background. Basically, grab a jacket, grab my running shoes. I'm gonna put on the running shoes, do some wide angles, do a medium, document all that. I got this beefy tripod that I'm gonna throw my camera on. Trying to get some good sequences, I guess. Mostly just trying to showcase the wide angle of the 16 and the close-up of the 75. Do that the best we can. I was really hoping to get out here like an hour earlier so I can get some blue hour vibes. If I really think that this kind of golden hour isn't the vibe, then maybe I'll come back, shoot tomorrow. We'll see how this goes. I like this shot a lot. Nice little wide angle. It's it's super windy right now, but I've always really liked the look of this bridge right here. So I'm just gonna get a shot running across it. Whew. Don't run on a suspension bridge. One thing I want to point out really quick, because this has actually happened to me a few times, just happened to me. When I switch lenses to the 75, I put it on, it always seems crazy bright. And I'm always like, what the heck? And so I re-loosen the lens, retighten it, and then it resets and it goes to the actual exposure. So I think the contacts might be a little dusty or dirty or something like that, and it automatically sets to 1.2 or 2.0 or something like that, which is kind of interesting, but that's happened to me multiple times. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, this is sick. I love the windmills in the background. Holy wind, dude. Holy wind. My running form looks absolutely garbage, but that's okay. Ah, beautiful. Absolutely lovely. I love that. So far, this has actually gone pretty smooth. Two more shots. Danny Gevertz just did a running video. Absolutely fantastic. Kind of portrayed the same mindset I've always had with running, which is like, I've always been a bigger dude, but I love long distance running. It's one of my favorite things to do for exercise. And so the fact that he made a video kind of like representing that was really cool in my opinion. Once I feel like this shot is good, which I think I got it, and I'll do a close up on the 75. You know, I actually did not discover this trail. I friggin' grew up like within 10 minutes of this trail, and I had no idea it was here. No clue. And then realized, shoot, this trail is actually super awesome. Gorgeous view, right next to a golf course, just pretty cool. This is one of those moments where I wish I had a tripod that had those like single action thingamajigs. All right, so I'll run into this spot, lift up my watch. I think I got the final shot. Overall, successful shoot. I feel like it turned out exactly as I was kind of thinking. Yeah, successful shoot. I hope the video turns out well. I hope so. All right, let's talk about image quality. Let me just say, I love the look of these lenses. I've really enjoyed the image that these lenses can bring, not just these two models, but the entire set. I do have to say that these two focal lengths are focal lengths that I tend to use very often. I love having a wide and I love having a tight. If these are the only two lenses I was ever able to use, these would probably be my pick. Now, these lenses are not the sharpest lenses out there. I wouldn't expect a super sharp lens from this price point, but I have really loved experimenting with a more dirty look using these lenses. I love emulating the look of film, and I do think that these lenses feature some of those same characteristics. Not all of them, and it's not perfect, but it does keep it in the right direction. Now, I'll be honest, I thought I would use the f1.2 a lot more often than I actually did. Like when I was shooting that running short film, even with ND filters, I was typically around f5.6 or f8. And the performance of these lenses still looks super good, and I love the bokeh rendering that happens at those lower f-stops. There is some inconsistency with color cast within the entire set, but surprisingly, these two lenses were pretty dang close. I mentioned in my first review that I love the management of flares with these lenses, and with the 1675, it's the same story. The only thing I may mention is that the 16 tends to have a little bit more prominent of flares and streaks across the frame, but I think that's just due to it being a wider angle lens. All in all, I think they do a great job of handling flares while still allowing some flares to distort the image a little bit if you want to. But if you don't want flares at all, they do have lens hoods that you can throw on to get rid of them entirely. All right, so after spending some quality time with these lenses, here's my takeaway. The 16mm gives you an ultra wide option that's fantastic for landscapes and tight spaces, while the 75mm offers some beautiful compression and shallow depth of field for portraits. And both lenses feature that f1.2 aperture, so you're covered in those low light scenarios. I do think that there were some slight improvements in autofocus with these two lenses, and maybe with some updates we'll see those same improvements with the other three. In terms of whether or not you should pick these up, I really think it just comes down to your needs. If you're looking for affordable autofocus lenses with solid performance and sharpness, then these are great options to add to your kit. If you're trying to decide between these and the Nightwalker set, then I would seriously consider whether or not you actually need autofocus, and decide from there, because image quality will be exactly the same. But to answer the question at the beginning of this video, are these lenses worth using on your next project? I think yes. I definitely think these lenses are worth it, and I would highly recommend checking them out. But anyway, I hope this review was helpful to you. If you're interested in purchasing these lenses, there are links in the description. They are affiliate links, so if you do purchase through those links, it does support the channel. Thank you so much if you do. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe watch this video next, and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you never miss out on new young filmmaker content. Good luck filmmaking.